Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Do WIT podcast. As you can tell, this is a solo episode. We're doing some solo episodes leading up to the launch of season 3. And my little solo episodes are just sharing some insights and what you have to look forward to that we're doing here on the podcast, and also sharing with you just some things that are top of mind for me as we kick off another season of the Do WIT podcast and a new year, 2024. Here's the deal. When I was thinking about what I wanted to do for season 3, and if we should even do a season 3, because I think that's also an important question to ask when taking on a project or a business idea or any endeavor, is to ask yourself questions like, why am I doing this? And who am I serving? And what are we bringing different to an obviously very saturated market? There are so many podcasts out there. And so why does the world need another one? And what can we do to bring value? So these are all questions that I asked and wrestled with and answered before jumping into season 3. And I wanted to share with you a few things, a few of those answers to those questions. And maybe it'll help you if you are going through something that is somewhat similar when you're asking yourself, should you or should you not do something? And let's tackle the thing about the saturated market. I mean, yeah, like I said, there are so many podcasts out there. And so if Do WIT was going to continue, what are we doing that is valuable and additive to the podcast market? And the thing that I kept coming back to is that we have this just ongoing and never ceasing commitment to put young people in the places and spaces usually reserved for adults. And we do that at the podcast. We do have our adult entrepreneur guests that are featured once or twice a month. But every month we're putting out a podcast that features a tween or teen entrepreneur where they get the entire episode to talk about their experience as an entrepreneur, lessons learned, failures, and they can promote their business and pitch their product. And that's important. We don't see that a lot in this podcast world. We don't see adults giving over their podcast, their platform to a young person with a focus on entrepreneurship. And that's what we do here. And I know that that's important. And I know it's important because it was important to me years ago when I was younger and podcasts didn't exist. But places and spaces reserved for adults certainly existed. And it really annoyed me that we weren't allowed in. Young people weren't allowed in. And supposedly you had to be older, and that meant you were more mature, and then you could get access to fill in the blank, maybe a stage to speak on, or a seat at the table when it came to a discussion. And it was because of my age that I wasn't included. And now that I'm older, and I realize the lie that just because you're older does not mean that you're more mature, because you're older doesn't mean that you're wiser. I want to make sure that those people that were similar to me, a teen or tween that had ideas and wanted to do big things, got a chance to speak and share. And so that was my answer to, like, what are we adding that's different? The other thing that I noticed that we are doing differently in the podcast world is that we have a focus on teaching you things that you're not learning in school or in life, whether that could be, like I said, school, like if you're in high school or college, or maybe you're into the workforce, so things that you're not learning at your job. Tools that are required to be successful in life and in business and with your emotional health. I just know they're not being taught. I know there's the outliers out there, the schools that are very unique, that are providing this that type of curriculum. And trust me, I know about them, and I'm interviewing them on the podcast because I want more of you to know about the places that you can send your kids, or programs that you can get involved in that are doing this type of teaching. For the most part, especially our young adult listeners, are out in the world without the tools to help them for their emotional well-being, and even having to navigate how they navigate career changes. So that commitment is what we're going to bring out, what we're going to stick to. And that commitment is helping us find the right guests for you, so that you can listen during a lunch break or during a workout or on your drive to work. And that at the end of every episode, you're going to have a tangible tool that you can apply to your life right away. And it's not about making big leaps and bounds after every episode, like you're going to take on the world. It's about, after every episode, moving the needle just a little bit, getting closer to your goals, closer to the realization of your dreams, and closer to you truly doing WIT in your life. And you might be wondering, if you're new to the podcast, what does it actually mean to do WIT? And that's really a wonderful question. It's a question that we ask on every episode of our podcast this season. So you get to hear from our guests what doing WIT means to them. And then you can decide in your life what doing WIT means to you. For me, doing WIT is all about doing whatever it takes to take care of myself, those I love, and the community that I'm involved in, and to not cut corners, to stay true to my word, and to not give up, even when it's hard. It also means to take a break when needed. I didn't always think it meant that, but now I'm over 20 years into living doing WIT, and it doesn't mean to burn yourself out. I'll tell you that much. Okay. I think I'm going to stop there, just because I don't want to go on too long with these solo episodes. I'd like you to keep it succinct and valuable to you. And so maybe just ask yourself, if you're about to take on something, or you're wanting to know if you should or shouldn't do something, ask yourself the tough questions, but they're really not that tough. They're actually fun to wrestle with. Like, why should you do this thing? Why should you bring this product to market? Why should you launch this podcast? What will set you apart? How are you additive? And yeah, I'll leave you with that question. And you all do have gifts and talents to bring to the world, to your families, to your offices, to your schools. And we need those gifts and talents. So don't sit on them. Do the work to figure out what you can do to bring more value and more WIT to your life. All right, until next time.